Joining me now is Alan Bruce. He's Chief Executive of Ithaca Energy, which owns a 20% stake in the field. Alan, very good morning to you. Give me an idea of the sort of investment that is now going to be required.
Yeah, good morning, Ian, and thanks for the opportunity to be on the programme. So, yeah, like you said, this is a significant investment for both ourselves and our partner Equinor, over around £4 billion worth of investment over the next 5 years or so, and generating over 8 billion of direct value out to the economy, and over 1,600 jobs through the process.
And are you and Equinor in a position to begin that investment straight away?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been doing lots of engineering to get up until this point. And yeah, we're moving ahead straight away with the project. It's a redeployment of an existing floating production and offloading vessel that's going to be modified to suit the conditions in Rosebank. So that's underway already. Engineering is progressed, and we're starting with fabrication, a lot of which will happen in the UK, in Dunfermline, Newcastle, in the northeast of Scotland.
Give me an idea of the kind of obstacles that stand in your way here. I mean, this is pretty inhospitable conditions in which to be producing oil and gas.
Yeah, I mean, certainly west of Shetland is challenging from a mid-ocean perspective, and a bit more challenging than some of the easier oil and gas production that's gone ahead. But as an industry, you know, it's nothing we haven't done before. You know, this is a real high-tech industry, and we've continued to evolve and develop technology. So, you know, some of the development of technology that's happened over the past several years is really what's been able to unlock fields such as Rosebank and enable us to do it in a cost-efficient and environmentally sustainable manner.
And as things stand, you anticipate production getting underway in 2026?
Yep, that's the current schedule for the project. So 2026, 2027 first production, yep.
Obviously, this is quite contentious as regards the environmental campaigners who are opposed to the project. What would your message be to them? What would you say to them?
Yeah, well, look, the first thing I would say is that, you know, the oil and gas industry understands the transition that we're on to net zero and is fully behind that. So, you know, the people in the oil and gas industry, we have the skills, we have the people, we have the technological capability, and we have the supply chain to deliver the transition to net zero. So we're fully behind that. And investment in oil and gas doesn't slow down that transition. Actually, it helps support the transition, because while we're looking to scale up our investment in renewables and others, we need to make sure that the supply chain that we have and the people that we have still have good opportunities for employment in that intervening period. So, you know, the message would be that this is supportive. You know, we all understand the transition. We're all bought into it. You know, the options we have to us in the UK, we're a net importer of hydrocarbons in the UK. I don't think anyone believes that in any demand scenario, even the most aggressive scenarios for reducing demand for energy, we're still going to be a net importer. You know, so therefore, the best thing to do for the country's economy and the best thing to do from an environmental perspective is to develop those resources in a responsible and sustainable way locally, rather than importing them from the Middle East, Africa, or Russia.
I mean, campaigners would say that, hang on, you're going to produce something like 200 million tonnes of carbon dioxide.
Yeah, well, again, like I said, Ian, I mean, if you look at the math behind it, you know, we all understand the energy transition needs to happen, and of course we're all fully behind that. But the reality of the situation is it's just going to take us some time in order to transition, for example, the vehicle fleet to electric vehicles, to transition difficult to abate sectors like aviation. So, you know, and even once we get to 2050, it's net zero. So, you know, everyone understands that we're never going to be able to replace all oil and gas requirements. And, you know, therefore, it is an extractive industry. So I think what people often don't appreciate is that the fields that are on production today in the North Sea, those are on natural decline. Many of them have been producing for 30, 40 years already, and they're going to come to the natural end of their life over the next 5, 10 years. They're going to be decommissioned. We'll do that in a responsible way. And the amount of replacement, is actually quite small. So we're nowhere near replacing 100% of the production that we currently export and consume. Projects like Rosebank will help us to replace some of that declining production, and as I say, do that in a manner that's much more environmentally efficient than importing hydrocarbons from overseas.
All right, Alan, got to leave it there. Appreciate you joining me today. Busy day for you. Thanks very much indeed.